I will miss it forever. I just like the way it sounds, right? President Brad Meltzer, right? President Brad Meltzer. Sometimes I would just read my own books and watch myself on my own television show. I'd have my mirror out, and I would just sit there with a fine wine in my hand. Oh, President Brad Meltzer, you've done it again. I'd say to my wife, honey, what should we have for dinner tonight? Should we have President Brad Meltzer's chicken or President Brad Meltzer's pasta? And she was like, you can go sleep on President Brad Meltzer's couch. And I was told that being president of the Mystery Writers of America would be a relatively cushy job. And they swore that the board members and the volunteers would do all the real hard work. And true to their word, they did. But throughout the year of my presidency, that did not mean they could keep me completely in the dark, unlike other presidents we've had in this country. You know who you are. In fact, right after I started, one thing became abundantly clear. When it comes to MWA, there were so many people working so hard for all of you. And I mean it. I saw it month after month. The board members of MWA aren't worried about the selfish nonsense, like how to get their book on the bestseller list and what number it's going to be. They're worried about our industry as a whole. They're worried and fighting regularly, nearly going to fisticuffs to give unknown writers a chance and to protect long-time established writers who've put in years of work to get where they are. Because don't forget, the board is made up of fellow writers. That means they know how to fight and complain and trade words with the best of them. You know about the complaining ones too. You know who you are, people. I'm looking at you, Stephen King. But most important, it means that the board members are passionate. And when I say passionate, I of course mean insane. But they're passionate about their beliefs, because only the passionate ever go and get into this most screwed up of industries. So as I leave my year as MWA president, there's only one thing that really needs to be said. Thank you. That's it. That's the only thing that needs to be said. Thank you to all the board members. Thank you to the volunteers. No, please clap them up for them. Thank you to the hidden heroes who give their life and their blood to fight for the rest of us. And thank you to those who write fewer books, or at least fewer pages, to make nights like this happen, and to argue for the rights of your fellow writers, and to make this Frankenstein monster of an organization live on a daily basis. We are all the beneficiaries of your goodwill, and if I have one last wish as president, I just want everyone out there to know what you do. So take a bow, you've earned it. Thank you again for the honor, it won't be forgotten. And what I want to do is, last year, as we held the Edgars, my job was to be introduced as president. My job now is to introduce the next president. And last year, the theme for the Edgars was celebrating female novelists, strong female writers, and the importance of showing the strength and the leadership of women, the trailblazing women who got us where we are today. And then the pinnacle of that moment, as we celebrate female writers, was to introduce me. And I was like, that was such a dumb call. That was the year to pick a woman. And so what I love is that this year we do have the person who fits last year's theme. And Sara Paretsky, I don't think I need to say, is a legend in our industry. She's a leader in our industry. She wrote A Strong Woman and therefore inspired so many strong women out there. And I know there's so many other writers who were, I even watched tonight, who I know got their start because they watched VI, do her magic. And with all that kindness out of the way, I just want to introduce her. I'll tell you, when I asked her what to say about her, she said that when she was a little kid, she had a 0.017 batting average, and therefore decided to be a Cubs fan. She loves dogs. And then this, I actually found this about her. This is true. She's going to say it's not true. She's a liar. This is true. I found this in a quote because I just looked for the most embarrassing quote I could find about her. She said, "My fantasy is to live in a cave in the Italian hills and a beautiful boy bringing me a cappuccino every morning." A beautiful boy as your slave. I think that's all I need to say. Ladies and gentlemen, the new president of MWA, Sara Paretsky.
Thank you, President Brad Meltzer. I can only quote another president less distinguished than you and say, mission accomplished. Bum, bum, ba, bum, bum, ba, bum, bum. MWA is celebrating its 70th anniversary this year, and I am honored that you chose me as your president. When MWA was started, the first president, Baynard Kendrick, referred to himself as the mastermind, and his executive vice president, Ken Crossan, was the trigger man. Well, I am no mastermind. That title goes to our executive director, Marjorie Flax, who, yeah, put it together for Marjorie. Marjorie has started slacking off. She no longer works on Sundays. Donna Andrews is another mastermind, and really, we owe, as Brad said already, President Meltzer said already, we owe an enormous debt to the board of dedicated MWA members who do the nuts and bolts of trying to help us all stay afloat in today's rough waters. So I would say that Donna Andrews really is a very effective trigger woman. What I've learned since becoming president is that it's kind of like being the Queen of England, except you don't have jewels, courtiers, palaces, or people curtsying when you come into the room. But it is true that you are the public face of the organization, and Donna and Marjorie and the board actually do all the hard work and make all the decisions. It wasn't until I started serving as president that I realized how hard our board, which is, like all of us, made up of writers and people who do this on a voluntary basis, they all work incredibly hard, and they've come up with some really wonderful new benefits for the membership, which we're very excited about and will be rolling out over the next few months. But I'd like to offer thanks to everyone in this room who has served the membership over the 70 years, and to the editors and agents who help us find our voices and make those voices public. We're about to have dinner, which I hope you will enjoy, except, of course, the nominees who will be too nervous to eat. My favorite awards memory came in 1989 when Timothy Findley won the Edgar for The Telling of Lies. He and I shared a publisher then, Carol Barron, and he was chain smoking throughout the meal, and Carol, who hates smoking as much as I do, if not more, was very tolerant and put up with it. And then when his name was announced, he was so nervous and so excited that he stubbed out his cigarette in Carol's palm. Well, she was a great publisher who really looked after her writers, and she took it gracefully, at least in public. However, tonight's editors and publishers can be thankful that smoking is no longer allowed in public places. In February 1945, as the world was emerging from a decade of slaughter on a scale so massive and monstrous, it's still difficult to comprehend, a small group met to found the Mystery Writers of America. According to a 1945 Saturday Evening Post story, GIs took some 50 million books with them when they deployed. Titles ranged from Death Comes for the Archbishop to Plato's Republic, but crime fiction and thrillers were what soldiers wanted most. In fact, men said they took the Willa Cather novel because they assumed it was a crime story. Don Sandstrom, a World War II veteran whom many of you were privileged to know, told me that he read The Big Sleep as he was shipping out to Europe, and that the crime club books his mother sent him were what kept him sane in his foxhole during the Battle of the Bulge. I myself heard from many soldiers in Afghanistan looking for mysteries, and like other MWA members, sent copies to anyone in the armed forces who asked for them. Our times today are no less turbulent than they were 70 years ago, and crime fiction is, if anything, more in demand today. In fact, MWA's founders estimated that there were 200 American crime writers in 1945. Today, MWA has 3,100 active members. Whether in a foxhole or struggling with a mortgage, more people than ever turn to crime fiction as a way of coping with the stressors of modern life. While the mystery is more popular than ever, routes to publication have shrunk. The number of trade publishers has dwindled from about 57 when MWA started to 5 houses today. While the internet is transforming publishing in ways that we don't yet fully understand, for most writers, self-publishing is a hard way to reach readers. MWA's biggest challenges for the next 5 years are to help our members find effective ways to get books to readers and to help writers whose work has been consigned to the margins find their way back onto the page. As publishing has consolidated, companies have shed jobs, more than 10,000 in the last decade. Editors, publicists, and we writers are all working harder for a lot less money than we were 6 years ago. We're all worried about the future of the industry and our own futures. Will our voices continue to be heard? Will we be able to make a living doing this work that we love? Writing, which is nonetheless very hard work. In the midst of these difficult times, it's good to come together as colleagues and friends to celebrate one another's work. And it's good, too, to remember that the word made visible, the written word which we help create, sustains the spirits of many people whom we will never meet in times of need. The great burial pyramid of Ramses II in Thebes supposedly has 3 chambers, a gigantic state hall where the dead pharaoh might receive courtiers and supplicants in the afterlife, a dining hall, and a library. Chiseled over the entrance to the library is the hieroglyphic inscription, "The cure for the soul." What better job could any of us in this room be doing than this, providing a cure for the soul? Thank you, and let's enjoy the awards.